Yes guys, so we made it to Torture Gym. Pretty cool. Nick Walker trains here. We didn't actually know that. So we'll try and get a photo with him. Maybe even a reel. That'd be really cool. But yeah, we're just gonna get cracking on literally 5-minute steps as always, just to get body temperature up, get a little bit warm. And then what we've been doing while we're over here is just walking around the gym, seeing what they've got, and then basically structuring the session from there. So you can walk around with us, I guess, and you can hear the logic behind what Reese and I decide to choose to do. From what I can see, it looks decent. I've not had a look around yet, but it looks pretty good. Quite a nice vibe, good music, good lighting. So yeah, we're in for a good one. Let's get it. We on?
We're on.
Cool. Right guys, so we're just gonna walk around, decide upon what we're gonna do. We also got a photo with Nick.
And Nick said I look big, Nick said I look big.
I did say, there's my mate over there, the big guy. So I kind of put the idea in his head.
No, you were like,
I called you a big guy just because there was like 2 girls stood either side of you. So I was like, the mate is the big guy, not the 2 girls. So it all seems to be new tech kit. And it says M Torture on it. So I don't know whether that's a specific range just for this gym, Torture Gym. With it being, so it's like an upper push dominant session. So we've got a rest day tomorrow, and then we've got leg pull. So we're not going to do too much for back within this session, just so that our backs aren't trashed going into our hip hinge, which will be in what, like 2 sleeps time. Well, to be fair, with how our sleep is, that's not a lot. That's like 8 hours, 8 hours of sleep's worth.
in 2 sleeps time, which is like usually maybe takes us 3 days to get.
So we'll start off with a lateral raise. Generally what we'll do at the start of an upper session. I always like to start with lateral anyway, just get the shoulders warm. Reese has obviously found this machine that he likes, so we'll start off with this lateral. We'll go on to a couple of different presses. Very similar to what we did. We didn't film the full elevation session, did we? Because it was Josh's video that day. But very similar to what we did at the elevation, and then we can kind of compare. So we'll start off with lateral. We'll do some form of chest dominant press, some form of shoulder dominant press. Then we'll probably do some form of a fly, or maybe even chuck the fly later on. Then we'll do some form of lat movement, probably from a vertical plane, some form of upper back focus row, some form of lat movement from a horizontal plane, which is going to be more like upper lat dominant, and then we'll finish off with a little bit of arms. So yeah, let's get it. So guys, with that being like really hard in the short, with anything to be fair that is really hard in the short, I'll always just take a few partials. It's not going to be overly demanding if you're doing a movement that isn't that challenging in the length. So something like a lateral raise or a dumbbell lateral raise, for example, if you're taking partials on that, like, you're not going to accumulate a shit ton of fatigue. I wouldn't recommend doing partials on something that is more challenging to the lengthened, even just from like a safety perspective and from like a general fatigue standpoint. Like, you don't want to be doing at the first exercise something that's really hard in the lengthened and doing loads of partials, because you're just going to be basically battering yourself for the rest of the session. Whereas with this, really hard in the short but easy in the lengthened. When you can't get it short anymore, take a few where you can almost get it to halfway. What I like to do as well is like generally keep the lateral raises anything above like 10-12 reps. For me, I find that I don't really connect very well with my side delt if I do any lower rep work than that, and it just starts to aggravate my joints. So I always keep my lateral work slightly higher rep. It just feels better for me.
Feels nice.
Well, I think they'll all feel good.
We're not doing the Smith for you.
They all feel smooth. Yeah, we can do the Smith, like, unless the Smith feels naff, we can do the Smith, but based on like, you know when you just jump on a piece of kit, you can tell if it's going to be all right. These all feel nice. They all feel smooth.
Good. That looks really nice.
Yeah, they're all really smooth.
I might be able to do that. See how my shoulder feels. It's literally just a case of seeing how it feels. What you wanna hear? Yeah, now I got it in my room.
Jump on, give them a feel. Like, you can chuck a bit of weight on, but they all feel really nice and smooth.
Phone started jumping, what a day.
Swear to God I need it now, I can't afford to wait. I just had a fan hit me up from Kuwait.
Here's a spot when you're ready, Reece. So, 3 plates, final wall, felt pretty good. We'll take 4, see what we can get, and then we'll go from there.
I'm a don just like the Perrier. It's one time when I'm looking at a face. On the low like I'm pushing up the bass. Told him come down and I'll meet him at a gate. Got a check and I bought myself a plate.
3,
Yep.
2, up.
Yep. Got it. Easy. Good. Come on. Stay tight. Drive out. There we go. Better rep. Yeah, like that. Tight. There we go. Yes. Yes. Good. 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 Take one. Take one. One with me. One with me. Come on. Erin. Stay with you. Control the eccentric. Don't throw. Don't throw. There we go. Drive. Yeah. Better. 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 Stay with that. Yeah. Good man. Solid. So,
Yeah. Very heavy in the short again.
or very heavy in general. Like, looks heavy.
I knew that was going to be a little bit ambitious anyway. But I'm feeling good, so I don't mind taking those low rep sets that make 3 plates feel very light for the back off. So guys, as I just said, like that 4 plate quote unquote top set or heavy set, whatever you want to call it, that is going to make this 3 plate set, back off set, lighter set, higher rep set, whatever you want to call it, is going to make it feel a lot lighter, physiologically but also psychologically as well. So that is generally the sort of benefit of having that top set, back off set approach or low rep, high rep set approach. I'm not saying that that is, let's say, more optimal or it's going to be better than doing, let's say, just straight sets. I could easily just do 2 sets on 3.5 plates, maybe get an 8 repper and a 7 repper, something like that. Realistically, am I going to get a greater hypertrophic benefit from that or from the top set, back off set approach? It doesn't really matter. Yeah, you know, either way, as long as the quality is there, as long as the effort is there, as long as I'm getting a good connection and performing it safely and I can progress it, either approach is going to be, let's say, quote unquote optimal for hypertrophy. So yeah, you know, I think a lot of people get hung up on you have to do a top set, back off set. You don't. Like, I have multiple exercises where I'll just do 2 sets on the same load, anywhere between, let's say, maybe a 6 repper and a 15 repper. So don't get obsessed with a have to do top set, have to do back off set. But that's what I'm doing now.
Nice, mate. Good. Come on, go again. Yeah. Yeah, good. Good. Come on, and again. Brace. Yeah. Lovely. Good. Solid. So. Come on.
Nice.
Sound.
So, scapular position when you're pressing. I think a lot of people feel like you have to overly retract. So they go into this extreme sort of position of retraction through the scapula, and it is actually going to, if anything, cause more issues. It's going to aggravate the joint quite a lot. It's going to put quite a lot of stress on the pec tendons leading into the shoulder. That being said, you don't want to be pressing and protracting every single rep and ultimately sort of not actually lengthening the pec. So slight degree of retraction, nothing extreme where you're really extending the spine, but then also not allowing that protraction every rep is generally what I'd recommend. So I almost just think to cue like slightly chest up, shoulders back, stay here with a small degree of extension through the spine, and then I'm keeping that elbow path relatively tucked in, more favourable position for the pec to basically be in a safer, more comfortable position than being up here, let's say. And also that's going to help in terms of the actual lengthening and shortening of the pec, the profile, if you like, of the pec. But yeah, you don't want to be hyper retracting, because it often causes little niggles through the shoulders. You good?
Good. you know?
So guys, I did the chest press first. I chose that first because it's very, very hard through the short and range. Earlier on in the session, you know, we're generally wanting to get a little bit more out of that position, if you like, as we get a little bit more fatigued. We're going to struggle to get a muscle fully short. Then we're going to jump onto the high incline Smith. It's a bit boring. I could do a Smith machine press in any gym, but Reece is doing this. It feels smooth. The shoulder press that I jumped on was okay. It wasn't incredible. So I'm going to do this, and then I'm going to do a third press just because they've got a lot of nice equipment. And I was going to say when in Rome, but we're not in Rome, we're in Vegas. So when in Vegas, why not make the most of it? So yeah, I'm going to I literally did one warm-up set on one plate. It feels very similar to most Smiths, so I know what my previous numbers would be. So we'll go in on 2 plates.
Okay. Yep.
3,
Yep.
2,
Yep. Come on. Easy. Good. Good. Easy. Good. Solid. Good. Go again. Air in and breathe. Come on. Brace. Powerful. Yes. Good. Better rep. Better rep. Like that. Come on. Don't rush. Each rep at a time. Yep. Oh yeah. Good. 1. Come on. Yep. Yeah, lovely.
nice.
Good. Go up.
Very smooth.
Yeah.
3,
Yep.
2,
Yep. Go on. Good. Come on. And again. Brace. Come on. This rod will fly. Take your time. Be powerful thing. Come on. Yep. Good. Good. And again. 1 more. Come on. Drive. Yeah, lovely. Good. Go again. Come on. Yep. Yes, Finn. Good. Still on that? Yes. Good. Go on, man.
So I've literally just done what we're speaking about over there. So it's not always necessary to do that top set, back off set approach. So I did 2 plates as my first set, and I know that that's going to be like a moderate to heavy set. I got 7 and 1. If I'd have got like 5 or less, then I'd have definitely gone lighter, and I'd have probably dropped it down to a plate and a half. But I got 7 and 1. It felt good, it felt smooth, it felt safe. So I was like, right, I'll just do a second set on 2. So I got 7 and 1, and then that was like 5 reps plus like 1.5 forced reps. So 2 like moderate to heavy sets, but again, like I said before, it's not essential that you do a back off set or a lighter set. Depends on how things are feeling. Some movements might require it, like I was literally saying with the lateral raise earlier. So depends on the movement, depends even on the placement in the session, depends on how you're feeling, depends on how embarrassing you want to look by dropping it on less than 2 plates. Depends how large your ego is a lot of the time. So I refuse to do less than 2 plates. So that's why I did a 7 repper and a 5 repper.
I left the hood, I said I would. I left the hood, I said I would. I was caught up in a situation, could have gone real bad. I dipped, took a long vacation, no doubt left man of them mad. Gone. I left the hood, I said I would, so I'ma get mine and I won't feel bad. Nah, if they could, they probably should, but most man end up in a 2-man pad. Left the hood, I said I would. I left the hood, I said I would. Ain't coming back. If they could, they probably should. Oh yeah. I left the hood, I said I would. I left the hood, I said I would. Left the hood, I said I would. I left the hood, I said I would. Ain't coming back. If they could, they probably should.
So I'm doing this incline press as the third press. So obviously we did the flat press pretty much. It was a very slight incline first. Then the high incline Smith, more of a shoulder dominant press. I don't like to do anything like directly vertical really, unless like it's a machine that seems to suit me nicely. Even then I'll still shift my hips forward slightly. I just feel in a safer position to press with sort of basically being slightly angled through the torso rather than being fully vertical. But yeah, then doing this incline press, which profile wise is a little bit more challenging through the mid to lengthen, so it makes sense having it as a press later in the session. the profile sort of in terms of how it looks within the set, you'll see that it almost changes. So like when you're warming up on this, it feels hard here, easy here. But then as we fatigue, that sort of profile switches. So although the profile of the machine, the actual resistance profile doesn't change, because the strength profile of our muscle changes as we fatigue throughout a set, this works really nicely in terms of when we're failing nice and slowly through a full contractile range. It's not like, die out. Those last couple of reps, we're sort of grinding through them and getting almost, if you like, sort of more of an effective rep out of it through that full range. So that's why we've got this placed as the third press. So that was a set where I did take a high rep set. Again, based on time of the session, how I'm feeling. I didn't want to do another set on 3 plates. Thought I'll take a high rep set, something sort of 15 plus on 2 plates. Like I said before, I think if you're working anywhere between, in my opinion, like 5 reps to 15 to 20 reps across any set, now and again, obviously you could take slightly lower or slightly higher than that range, but generally that is what I would recommend, that you work within that rep range. Much lower than that regularly, you're going to potentially run into risks of injury, greater risk of injury if you're doing 2 and 3 reps all the time. And then much higher than that, 20, 25, 30 reps plus, you're putting yourself not at a risk, but it can come to a point where you end up failing more so through a sort of cardiovascular, cardiorespiratory standpoint rather than actual muscular standpoint.
I said I would, so I'ma get mine and I won't feel bad. If they could, they probably should, but most man end up in a team and bad. I was caught up in a situation, could've gone real bad. My trip took a long vacation, no doubt left man of them mad. I left the hood, I said I would, so I'ma get mine and I won't.
Just one set on that, a little bit more costal pec or lower chest. Just seeing as all the presses that I've done have been more of like a incline plane or shoulder dominant presses or mid to upper chest dominant presses. I don't do a hell of a lot for like lower pec work. I usually have a dip or some form of like tricep compound. Main reason I don't do as much through the lower pecs is just based on like our anatomy of the pec and how gravity works. Like generally you're always going to look like you've got a bigger lower pec than an upper pec because your pec is going to sit based on gravity. So that's why I don't really have loads of lower pec work. Have you ever seen somebody with a huge upper chest and no lower chest? No, very rare. It's usually the other way around. So that's why I'll do not as much through the lower pec as the upper pec. Right guys, so we're going to do the low row, single arm, unilateral, as our lat dominant movement through that horizontal plane. So it's going to be like more mid and upper lat dominant. The reason we're choosing this first is it's a little bit more challenging in the short. So when we're looking at like training the back, we're generally looking at like ticking off different musculature, potentially ticking off like different profiles as well. So we're going to do the horizontal lat movement, challenging the short a bit more. Then we're going to go on to a mid to upper back row. So we've done the lats there. Then we're going to go on to like rhomboids, traps, teres major, like upper back focus, rear delt's going to be included. And then we're going to go on to another lat movement, and it's going to be from a vertical plane. And ideally, you'd almost want to do the opposite of what you've done there. So that's more challenging in the short, whereas this is going to be more challenging in the lengthened and drop off a little bit. Again, like I said earlier, that's kind of how you want to be matching that strength and resistance profile of machine to muscle, basically. So yeah, that's why we're doing this. And then once we've done those 3, we'll assess how we're feeling if we're going to do anything else for back.
Get some money and they blow it on bait. I don't flex, but I'm pushing all the weight. Told them all, I swear I got it's what it takes. Phone started jumping, what a day. Swear to God I need it now, I can't afford to wait.
So that's 2 sets done on the single arm row. That's very similar to a single arm dumbbell row which we did the other day, and which I have in at the minute. but obviously we're in a different gym, like you can do a dumbbell row anywhere. But when I set up for a single arm dumbbell row or machine row, I'll always put both feet on the same line. So if you have one foot further forward, often you're gonna rotate. You could have the working side further forward, but then it sort of gets in the way. If you have the opposing side forward, then often that'll lead to like a lot of lateral rotation. You're sort of twisting through the trunk, which realistically, if we're trying to target the lat, like we're not actually, the lat doesn't really accommodate that. It's not a function of the lat to rotate through the trunk. So we're trying to keep the core stable, trying to just drag that elbow. I almost think about having some string wrapped around my elbow. Someone's stood over there pulling it round, and my elbow's just dragging in and around the rib cage.
I ain't coming back. If they could, they probably should. Oh yeah. I left the hood, I said I would. I left the hood, I said I would. Left the hood, I said I would. I left the hood, I said I would. I ain't coming back. If they could, they probably should. Oh yeah. I left the hood, I said I would. I left the hood, I said I would.
I was caught up in a situation, could have gone real bad. I dipped, took a long vacation, no doubt left none of them mad. I left the hood, I said I would, so I'ma get mine and I won't feel bad. If they could, they probably should, but most men end up in a team and bad.
I was caught up in a situation, could have gone real bad. Yeah. I dipped, took a long vacation, no doubt left none of them mad.
So chose to do that instead of the machine. The machine it felt okay, but it wasn't the best in terms of the alignment, whereas with the cable you've got that sort of ability to have that free path. Really nice machine that. 2 sets on that, dual arm as well, a little bit more time efficient. And again, you know, we've already done a single arm variant where we're getting that lat really short. With that, maybe not quite getting it as short. It is a bit more challenging in the shortened range. But yeah, you know, we're not quite getting it quite as short, let's say, as if we were to maybe have a single arm variant. But that feels really nice. A little bit of rear delts as well in between. And then we'll finish off with arms, a bit more lateral work.
You don't impress me, so don't test me, nah.
So don't test me, nah. Don't test me.
Yo. You don't impress me, so don't test me, nah.
So don't test me, nah. Don't test me.
Yo, they wouldn't let me. Man's gal wanna come undress me. Swing with the right, but I might go lefty. I made plus with it, so don't test me. They wouldn't let me. Man's gal wanna come undress me. Swing with the right, but I might go lefty. I made plus with it, so don't test me. Nah, you don't impress me, so don't test me. Nah,
so don't test me. Nah, don't test me.
You don't impress me.
Finishing off with some arms. I generally like to do 2 bicep movements, 2 tricep movements, one of which is a little bit more focusing on that shortened range, and then one of which is a little bit more length and focus. So bicep curl, a little bit more challenging the short, and then I will probably do an incline dumbbell curl, or maybe even like a dumbbell hammer curl, which I quite like. And then for triceps, a push down, and then generally it'll be some form of either sort of cross face or post extension.
Don't test. Don't test. Don't test. Yo. Don't test. Don't test. Don't test.
Really nice. Very good movement that, like profile wise. Obviously it drops off as you approach full extension, which at this, well, with any muscle, generally we're going to be stronger through that mid to lengthen, but at this point in the session, triceps are pretty trashed from the short and push down, obviously all the pressing work. So yeah, really nice. Unilateral as well, so it's not too heavy on the stack, feels comfortable on the joint. If you notice that you get elbow pain with that, rather than trying to do it directly vertical, it feels fine for me on my shoulder and my elbow, but instead do sort of like a cross face like this or like a katana extension. Generally that will, for most people, feel more comfortable.
laterals, and done.
Let me. Man's gal wanna come undress me. Swing with a right, but I might go lefty. I make plus with it, so don't test me. They wouldn't let me. Man's gal wanna come undress me. Swing with a right, but I might go lefty. I make plus with it, so don't test me. Nah, they wouldn't let me. Man's gal wanna come undress me. Swing with a right, but I might go lefty. I make plus with it, so don't test me. They wouldn't let me. Man's gal wanna come undress me. Swing with a right, but I might go lefty. I make plus.